All right, Tampa Bay Bucks at the Houston Texans. Monday night doubleheader. You ready to not sleep this week?
God.
No sleep this week because we have a 7 and a 10 Monday.
10 p.m.
7
start.
and a 10 because the NFL, they've been experimenting with all the different Monday night iterations. They've landed on this time it's going to be a 7 and a 10. We've done our different starts. We've done 7:30 and 8:15. This is the 7 and the 10, the true doubleheader. That
Dude, if we're doing a 10 p.m. start, that game needs like a running clock or something. Like, that 10 p.m. start?
Yeah. Take a nap Monday so you're ready to go after we wake up. You get the 7 a.m. start here.
And that's after
the 10 p.m.
That's after the early morning Monday for the show. Oh,
yeah.
Man, that's
We'll
the
be
worst.
live at 7 a.m., and then there'll be a game going till 1 a.m. that night.
That's rough.
I love our job. It's okay. We're having fun here. Texans favored.
It's the East Coast dads thing. Is that the meme? That's,
East Coast dads.
It's a rough day for the East Coast dads.
JJ and the fantasy folks that play that game,
yeah.
They're going to be very upset. We should get JJ on to talk about it at some point.
How much mileage do you think there is in an East Coast dads?
2 minutes, at least a 2-minute segment.
Got it.
We like earlier games, not late. Don't have lightning delays. We get upset because we got to wake up early, get the kids to school. You know, that's everything.
Well, thanks for showing up, JJ.
Texans favored by 2.5. Over/unders just 42.5 per FanDuel. I mean, the Texans had a game that just finished with 23 points.
Yeah,
but you wouldn't think Baker Mayfield, C.J. Stroud. You have some playmakers on both sides. You wouldn't think this is it's not like these are incompetent offenses, but low-scoring game expected in Houston here Monday night at 7.
Yeah, and I guess, that makes some sense. We saw last week what happens with this Houston offense if it goes up against a good defense and a good defensive front. I mean, the Rams defense is on a pretty impressive charge, but the Houston offense certainly didn't look fixed based off their new revamped offensive line from last year. You trade away Laramie Tunsil, you bring in a rookie in Arante Ursary, Cam Robinson playing left tackle, Ursary playing right, but the group still looks like a problem.
Yeah, I think even both teams. I mean, Baker was pressured over 40% of the time per next gen, so I think both offensive lines are going to be a question. You have Tristan Wirfs in Tampa Bay.
And I think they're trying to fix
Graham Barton out there.
I think the Texans are trying to do just get as many options out there for let C.J. Stroud will fix the line, right? Let's give him options, give him receivers in passing patterns, and let him just get the ball out quickly. They were living in 11 personnel effectively week 1, 80% of the time. 11 personnel, 3 wide receivers, at a time when the rest of the league is starting to pivot the other way.
Well, they've had Cade Stover got hurt.
They're tight. Yeah, they only have 2 active tight ends.
Right. So
but they also only it's kind of by design. They only kept a certain, they've had injuries, but also appear to be deliberately skewing towards 11 personnel from a roster construction standpoint, which I think is fascinating. Even McVay is moving away from the 11 personnel thing. That was his personnel tree. We're all 11 personnel guys.
This is the tree that's sticking with 11.
Exactly. But Zach Taylor, moved away from it. All of the McVay disciples moved away from it. And then this year was the first year where it looks like McVay himself is going to swing away from 3 wide receivers exclusively. And, maybe we could have a second tight end of the field. What's the worst that could happen? And at the exact same time as that's happening, the Texans draft 2 wide receivers, limit the number of tight ends they're keeping, and then spend week 1 leading the league in 11 personnel usage, and we're going to live in 11 personnel. I just think that's fascinating that, at a team where the entire NFL is zigging, one team is nah, let's zag. Let's go the other way and see what happens.
Hey, guys, real quick. Only 40% of our viewers are actually subscribed, so let's change that. Hit that subscribe button, and now let's get back to the action. Now, Nick Caley coming from McVay's system, sticking with, the high 11 personnel, and I'll do the thing I hate where I'm like, oh, this guy was in this system, therefore he'll be the same thing. I did it last week. The McVay systems had good answers against Todd Bowles' defenses. They didn't really last week, but second straight week, Bowles and the Bucs go up against a McVay derivative offense with Caley. So I think it's going to be challenging again for both. I think for both offensive lines. You've got the Bucs have a fierce pass rush in part because they're going to bring extra people. That's what Bowles does. But you got Vita Vea. Hassan Reddick had some huge pass rushes last week. He looked great. So they have dudes that are tough to block, as do the Texans. And so I think that's going to be another one of those stories of the game. I think how does Baker Mayfield handle pressure, and how does C.J. Stroud handle pressure? I think they're going to be under a lot of heat in this game.
And by the way, like I've been so impressed by C.J. Stroud, the worse his offensive line gets. Like even though his numbers and his overall output and performance has been sort of consistently worse since his amazing rookie season, I actually, every time I watch him play, I'm like, that guy is so good if you just gave him a halfway viable offensive line.
He's got some simple plays where it's like he's under pressure, he sidesteps, just finds a completion. There are some plays in there, but yeah, it affects the entire offense.
Yeah.
And Nick Chubb looked pretty good in his return last week. They already talked about, D'Amico Ryan's already talking about relying on him a bit more. My optimism for Houston centered around maybe the offensive line being better, at least the unknown.
Yeah.
But
Doesn't look like it is.
Not that I like unknowns, but it's like, versus last year. But my optimism is the Nico Collins, Jaden Higgins, Jalen Knoll, at the receiver position. You need more from those guys this week going up against the Bucs.
You do, but they also need the platform to do that. Like I worry that the Texans are exactly what we thought they were, which is everything is there except the offensive line is going to undermine all of it.
Yeah.
That was kind of week one. Now, look, it was against the Rams, and their defensive front might be one of the best in the entire NFL. So it was against the hardest assignment you're going to get. This week should be easier than that. Like Tampa Bay have got some horses up front. They don't have the Rams defense in front, though. So I think you're at least dialing the difficulty notch down a little bit. Now let's see if they can do something more.
But then on the other side, Danielle Hunter, Will Anderson. So the Bucs, we were surprised. They took their center, Graham Barton, who played left tackle in college just 2 years ago, put him at left tackle.
Complete shuffle.
It was another one of those, more often than not, he looked okay. There's about 3 or 4 bad reps in there. And just got bull rushed, taken to the ground by James Pierce a couple times. Now it's not going up against a rookie, 2 established pass rushers in Will Anderson and Danielle Hunter. And, the Texans were getting after the Rams pretty bad. That was one of the worst. That goes both ways here. Last week's Texans-Rams game was one of the worst offensive line performances on both sides, one of the better defensive line performances on both sides. So I think
there was a reason.
The story of the game is how they handle pressure. And again, I didn't think the Bucs offense last week didn't get much going on the ground. It came down to a handful of plays. Bucky Irving takes a swing pass, makes a great effort for like a 9-yard touchdown. Baker hits Emeka Egbuka for 2 really nice tight window throws. It's going to come down to that. Make a couple special plays with your playmakers on either side here. I think that's the difference in this game because I think both quarterbacks are going to be under heat for most of the game here.
Yeah, there was a reason that Graham Barton was kicked inside, to center. And is not an NFL tackle when he was a college tackle. Like he can survive there, and he played there recently enough that it's worth it. Evidently they think it's their best option at left tackle, and to completely shuffle the offensive line in making that happen. But it's a hell of an ask. I think it's probably slightly less of an ask than it was for the Chiefs to ask Joe Thuney to do that. Years removed from just being a high end guard, but. It's a weakness. Like Graham Barton at left tackle is probably problematic for them, certainly relative to the pass rushers that Houston can deploy. So, yeah, you can get after this Tampa Bay offensive line until they get Tristan Wirfs back in the lineup.
If you're a draft guru, arm length guy, you have Luke Gedeke on one side for the Bucs, who already has small arms, short
T-Rex.
arms, right? Sub 33-inch arms. Well, Barton, of course, who's been moved to center, also under 33-inch arms. The Bucs are going to go out there for the second straight week with 2 tackles under 33-inch arms. Gedeke just signed a really nice contract. I think he's a good player. He had some struggles last week, though, in that game.
I believe that Luke Gedeke and I have the same arm length.
Oh, good.
And he is
you out there.
He is a lot larger than I am. Because me and Aiden Hutchinson have the same arm length, and Aiden Hutchinson is 6'7". I genuinely don't understand how that's possible.
You and Hutch. I forgot about that. Yeah. All right, man. Any other matchups or things to watch here? Did I have anything highlighted in our matchups here?
Antoine Winfield Jr. I mentioned during the review show that he had that one sort of game-saving play late in the game where he just got over and broke up the pass that would have been a touchdown if he didn't. If you watch the rest of his game, he had a bunch of plays where that dude is just, he's all the way back. Antoine Winfield Jr., maybe the best sort of conventional safety in the game if we call Kyle Hamilton more of a, an all-round joker, everything type of player. If you're just pure safety, standard, regular safety, human, who's the best safety in the game. It might be Antoine Winfield Jr., and he was really, really good week one.
All right, last thing. Houston's 4-man fronts from our 33rd team, research team. Second highest rate of 4-man fronts last year at 81%. Third in yards per play allowed at 4.9. I think Houston's pass rush, ball hawking secondary. They have a ball hawking secondary. That's why I said, hey, they have top 5 defense potential this year with Derek Stingley back there, with Kalen Bullock, with Kamari Lassiter. We've talked a lot about Baker Mayfield's ability to either, he's got high highs, but he's got those spurts where he puts the ball in harm's way. He had 4 plays last week. I'm telling you, Caden Ellis in the flat, the rookie safety from Notre Dame,
Xavier Watts,
who
also, by the way, was really good.
Was very good. Throwing the ball to him over the middle of the field. Baker had 4 passes that easily could have, would have, should have been picked. If he does that again against Houston, and he doesn't always do this every week, just because you saw 4 last week, he might have 0 this week. That's Baker.
Right.
But if he does that again this week, I think Houston capitalizes.
Last player to mention, by the way, for a while, this Houston defensive front pass rush has been just the 2 edge rushers, right? Donnell Hunter and Will Anderson Jr. Sheldon Rankins was a real factor week one. And if they found a guy that can consistently push the pocket as well, now you've got a real problem if you're an offense, because you know the 2 edge rushers are going to, they're going to keep you in the pocket. They're going to form a perimeter. And in the past, that hasn't been that big a problem because, you can step up, you've got relatively clean pocket, you can still function. Obviously, you're on a clock, and, those guys are going to get pressure, but you can step up in the pocket and be okay. If Rankins is able to collapse the pocket from the inside as well, now you're just trapped, and you're basically under pressure all the time.
Rankins had a good year in Houston in 2023, went to Cincinnati last year, got hurt, only played 7 games. He's back, and I think, absolutely, he can make an impact here. So Texans by 2.5, over-under is 42.5. Where are you going to go with this one?
I'm going to go with the Texans. I believe in them with an easier assignment than the Rams' defensive front.
I'm also taking the Texans. So they're at home. Tampa Bay with the weird quirk, being on the road for 2 straight games here to kick things off. But I'll take Houston to cover the 2.5.
Thanks for watching all the way to the end of the video.
Check the Mic is live every Monday, Wednesday, and Thursday. So be sure to hit the subscribe button so you don't miss a thing.
And the all-knowing algorithm is convinced you'll also like these videos. And who are we to argue?